We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh. Tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đắc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Saranto Suchedo Ye Olahodi San Miao San Puto Xie. Nam mô Tadakta Toya Daya Alahade Tamil Tamboda Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa, Bai jian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou qi, yuan jie ru lai zhen shi yi. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Qingliang, Great Master YongHua, all monks and nuns, and all good advisors of Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位上智士阿弥陀佛. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư Hòa thượng Tuyên Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. Today is the 3rd of June, 2022. We are here to continue discussing the prologue as prepared by Master YongHua based on Master Qingliang's works. We are starting door number 2. This is of the prologue. We finished the door number 1, cause and conditions. The first part explained the reasons how, why the Avatamsaka Sutra was explained by all Buddhas, and it's continued to be explained constantly, all the time. Is that important? And now the second door, as prepared by Master Qingliang, again, this prologue is his work to help us see overview of this teaching here, of the sutra, this profound sutra here. This is the ultimate Buddhist wisdom. So I don't expect to be able to understand it. Very few people can, unless you're a Buddha or super close to being a Buddha. But it should not stop us from trying to learn it, because these are, as Master YongHua put it, will help us plan Vajra seeds, the ultimate seeds of wisdom. Okay? And that's what's going to enable you, when these seeds mature, to be able to continue to receive and get closer to the ultimate truth of the universe. Okay? All right. So now this second door here is about stores and the teachings containing it. So the stores, we're on slide 3. The stores refer to the 3 kinds of stores in Buddhism. What is called the Tripitaka. Buddhism, when you look at the teachings of the Buddhist teaching, you have first the Vinaya, and then you have the Sutra, and then you have the Abhidharma. Okay? The Buddha explained primarily the first 2, the Sutra and Vinaya, and the Abhidharma is primarily the works of the Bodhisattvas. Okay? Now, what is the Sutra? Sutra is Sanskrit. And Sutra actually is Sanskrit's term. It's called, it translates as telling text, meaning that it is a sagely teaching. This is teaching that gives us, this reveals the wisdom of the teachers, of the sages. So what is it telling? What are these, the sages, what do you think the sages are doing? The sage is when they teach us, it's for a purpose. So their teachings are recorded, especially here in the Sutra are the teachings recorded from the Buddha. And so the Buddha, he came to our world to bring us, to reveal to us the ultimate truth, the Buddha principles that people of wisdom, such as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, know about. Okay, and those are the things that he ultimately like to us to be exposed to know. And so whatever he explained in sutras are consistent with such knowledge, such superior wisdom. Okay, and furthermore, sutras are actually designed to help us study samadhis, meaning that by studying sutras, we'll be able to understand about samadhis. So in fact, a lot of sutras have detailed knowledge about samadhis, and therefore it's important for us to study these sutras carefully, because that's the foundation of all the Chan teachings. Okay, and so all these teachings then are designed to help us develop us living beings, to help us understand the roadmap, understand the requirements, for us to attain and to comprehend, thoroughly understand the Buddha's principles. Okay? So, in other words, Buddha's knowledge may seem to be so far removed from us, so unattainable, but actually they are revealed to us in order to remind us that we too have the potential to reach the states as well. And so it's a reminder that we should not settle for anything less than that. The Buddha is here to help us become just like them. Okay, and the Buddha is saying, you are just like me, actually. And it's because of you've been wandering in the wheel reincarnation. You mean you've been coming to the world and live for your life and die and come back and live and die and come back and live and die, so forth, for so long now that you are conditioned to it. You find it to be normal. And you don't realize that it's a vicious cycle, that you can find a way, there's a way for you to get out, and you don't have to settle like in this higher world where you are, where you accept that the suffering we endure as living beings is normal. And yes, we can endure a lot of pain and suffering, a lot of hardship, And we're used to it. That's why it's called the Saha world, that Shakyamuni Buddha created here to help us, train us. And so in a way, it's a special place where it toughens us up, okay, and to be able to cultivate better, if you will, and become, attain the wisdom of the Buddhas. Okay, so we do have that potential. Okay, that's us. We're perfectly capable of doing that. So what the sutras mean? The sutra has several meanings. First of all, it strings together meanings. It strings together. It paints a picture, if you will, of separate parts of the truth of the Buddhist teachings. Okay, so that's why it strings together all these wonderful principles of wisdom. Number two, it gathers in and attract, meaning Buddha explains sutras in order to cross over living beings and help them get out or put an end, get out of the wheel, put an end to all their wandering in the wheels, put an end to all their sufferings, okay, in their lives, okay, and that's these teachings serve as a magnet to draw living beings into better states, better lives, better achievements, more fulfillment in their lives. Okay, so the Buddhist teaching is actually very attractive for most of us. Okay, and number three, it's this Buddhist teaching in the sutras that the Buddha explained to us are eternal truth of the universe. It's true in the past, it's true right now, it's also true in the future. Okay, so the truth never changes. The truth does not depend on time. It does not depend on the centuries. It depends on the culture. Okay, it transcends time, transcends place. So that's why the truth of the Buddhist principles we're learning, especially in this sutra here, this Avatamsaka Sutra, is true everywhere you go. If you next lifetime you go to a different world, let's say Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land, or Medicine Master Buddha's Pure Land, or another impure land like a Saha world, and you will be learning, you have a chance to learn the Avatamsaka Sutra again, it's still the same principles, no difference. So what happened is what we're learning are the ultimate truth, that never changing truth. Okay? Whereas the knowledge we acquire in the world, worldly knowledge, is constantly changing. Case in point, nutrition will keep on changing. You know, what people know about nutrition, what we know about medical science, what we know about engineering, and so forth. Okay, human knowledge is still developing, whereas the sutra knowledge is ultimate knowledge. Isn't it wonderful that we're able to have that? That how many people you think have the chance to study this, to hear about this, and be exposed to this? Never mind about understanding, just be exposed to it. Creates permanent Vajra seeds in your consciousness. That's your dowry, you will. That's your assets, and it's called. And that kind of asset is permanent, okay, and it will help you get what you want. Yes, 8.
From Diego, Master, in which sutra can we learn extensively about samadhi levels and the 4 stages of arhatship?
The primary Buddhist Bible for us in a Chan is the what is it? Shrangma Sutra. Okay. It has a lot of details at all different levels. Okay. And that's it. Therein lies the difficulties in you your being able to discern which one refers to your level. Okay. However, the Shrangma Sutra will give you the seeds for you to for your journey as you progress through these various stages of meditation, if you will. Yes.
May I ask a question? 14 years ago, when I was still a lay person, I forgot who it was, either Flavia or Roberta. They told me to go and request Dharma. And they said that when you request Dharma, Master speaks directly to you. And it's a blessing. But over the years, it became where only the Sangha was requesting Dharma. So are lay people allowed to request Dharma?
Yeah, lay people are allowed to request dharmas, but if they do it wrong, we shoot them. So that's why you have to do it carefully. So that's why over the years, few lay people survived. So that's why you've been witnessing the fact that only lay, Sangha requested the Dharma. If they screw up, I cannot shoot them. Too few Sangha members for me So, listen, what happened to the Dharma request? When Shakyamuni Buddha became a Buddha, okay, who were the first one who requested the Dharma? Anyone remembers? This is a well-known story. Number one.
Sir, Master, is that universal worthy bodhisattva?
No. Yes, number 4.
Thank you, Master. Was it Ananda?
No. I feel like shooting someone, but they didn't request the Dharma, so... Anyone else? Huh? I apologize. Some days I feel violent for some reason. Maybe it's the insane heat we're experiencing here in Southern California, JMT, go ahead. She's so excited now. Yeah? JMT. What's your answer?
Is that from the heavenly being, Master?
Heavenly beings. Yeah. All right. What about Conk?
Hello. Hello, Master. Do you hear me?
No, I cannot. No, I cannot hear you.
Master, it's a Christian God from church.
Yes. What happened is after the Buddha, right after the Buddha became enlightened, what did he do? He became a Buddha. He said, what am I going to do with my life? Anyone ever pondered about that? In this revelation, what am I going to do with my life? Yeah? Now I become a Buddha. What on earth am I going to do? And he says, wait. I'm supposed to teach. Buddha is supposed to teach. And then he say, okay, let's see, teaching, clearly teaching these human beings. Buddha says, these human beings are impossible to teach. He said, nah. He said, Koreans are nice, but... And then remember, he was in India, so I'm sure he looked at those Indian people, and he says, nah, absolutely not. Okay? So he decided, no, I'm going to teach the humans. So he was about to look and teach somewhere else. Okay, and what happened is the heavenly beings were aware of it. Who in particular? The first dhyana heaven king. He was aware of it. He said, wow, Buddha is not going to teach the human beings. So he says, this can't be. Because what happened is the king of the first dhyana heaven, that heavenly being there, he's very attached to us human beings. He really believes that he's like our father. You know why? Do you know why? I didn't explain that to you. I have not explained that to you yet. He has a complex. He says, like, human beings are like my children. Men, women, child, they're all my children. And if the Buddha refuses to teach them, how can they end the suffering? How can they possibly figure out what to do with their lives? Because I can't teach them. I can't help them. Okay, and so why does this king of the first dhyana heaven have such a complex, such an attachment to us? Yes, Sarah of the land of the yin yang.
I'm not sure, Master, but I think I heard once that the first dhyana heaven beings came down to earth, and then they tasted certain grains, and they weren't able to fly back to the heaven. So basically, they're the heavenly beings from his own first dhyana heaven. So maybe that's why he's attached to them.
Excellent. See, Koreans have potential. This is something, it's something I explained in something like 10 years ago. I alluded to this 10 years ago, and that's all I explained. How could you remember that? I'm impressed. Is it from me, or you read it from another trader temple?
It's from you, Master, by translating what you said.
Yeah, exactly. On purpose, I neglected to explain to you and give you the details, okay? Because now this is too complicated for you, especially you low lives. You have so many problems. Why should I tell you about this distant past when you can't care less? Like babies, you were like babies when they're more concerned about having fun and so forth, toys and so forth. So this is what happened. Our world, the Sao world, okay, goes through the cycles, the 4 cycles of birth, of change, maturity. The name changes a little bit, but it's very similar to us. We're born. Okay, and then we evolve, we change. Okay, and then we peak. So we begin to decrease, to regress, you will, and then finally we die. Okay, so what does it mean for you? To you? I'm told, again, don't pick on me. I'm told that we're born, and by the doctors, and I'm sure doctors will chime in hopefully. And so I read somewhere a long time ago that physically we peak at the age of 13, and after that, even though the body continued to grow, but physically you're deteriorating. Okay. Your capabilities. Okay, maybe the cells no longer multiply. whatever. Okay. So anyway, so we born, we grow, okay, to our peak, and then we decline. Okay, we decline, and then we die. So those are the 4 phases of a human's life, human being's life. So far, so good. So does the world. That's how world, every single world in our universe is the same thing. It goes through these cycles. Okay, and it's how world here we came to being when the Buddha became a Buddha. Okay, and then evolved. Okay, maybe it has have these cosmic things, changes happen, explosions, Big Bang theory, whatever. Physicists and scientists came up with whatever in their own ways explaining the phenomena they observe. But what happened is that our world changed, it grew, it expanded. Okay, and then now we are in a decline phase. Okay, we are shrinking, I think. Okay, and then eventually, Sawa will disappear. Okay, to be reborn again, and go through those 4 phases. So, like human beings, the worlds also have these 4 phases. Okay, so during these phases, that where we are today, okay, during the growth phase, okay, when our world is being born, I'm talking about our times now. I don't know before that. See, these cycles repeat themselves. It's the same thing with the Pure Land, by the way. Okay, Pure Land still, they go through those 4 phases, and they die and they're reborn here. Okay, yeah, that's why you better hurry before Amitabha retires. Now I don't know what's going to happen to the rest of you. So in our world, we're talking about our times now, okay? Our times, this cycle, this very cycle we're talking about, is that it came to being. And at the time, this our world, okay, is unpopulated. Okay? It has no human beings at all. And on the surface of the earth, there's this crust. Okay? So the heavenly beings from the first dhyana were aware of it. They said they were traveling around. The heavenly beings, they have wings, I think. And they fly around, they have a good time, they do sightseeing, they travel and so forth. And they happen to land on our earth. And I look at the earth crust, it looks like brownish, looks like chocolate. So one of them tasted it. He said, interesting. Quite heavenly. Not quite as good as our heavenly food, but it's quite pretty good. And so they started tasting it. I said, wow, this is so cool. Okay? So they started eating, picking out a crust of chocolate, and the earth crust, and ate it. And they enjoyed it. It's so tasty, just like chocolate, according to the scriptures. They loved it. So they told their friends, and then they came back and told their husbands and told their mothers and their children and so forth. And then, so they have the first time that the Saha world had something called tourism. You know what I mean? And then hotels sprang. Disneyland, Okay, and so forth. So tourism came, and more of these heavenly beings from the first dhyana came down and ate the earth crust. And pretty soon, only Vietnam has the earth crust left. And so they all moved to Vietnam. I think. Okay. Anyway, that's a different story, okay? We're not here to address that issue. Well, who has the issue that is who has the highest level of wisdom? Okay, it's not for tonight, okay? So anyway, so these heavenly beings, the more of them came down to the earth, and more of them ate the crust. And pretty soon, something happened. The more these heavenly beings ate the crust of the earth, because it tasted similar like truffle chocolate or something like that, okay? They could not fly anymore. Strange thing happened. They used to fly down, and all of a sudden, when they gorge themselves with all this truffle chocolate thing, so that's why I'm telling you, no truffle chocolate. You hear me? Be careful. Who knows if it happens to you nowadays? But before, they ate these chocolates, okay, and they lost the ability to fly. Okay, they became attached to the earth. They couldn't fly anymore. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. The more you like something, the more you like someone, you cannot separate yourself from that. How is that for wisdom? You don't believe me? It happened to our ancestors. They could not fly back to the first dhyana heaven anymore. So they settled. They took over the hotels, okay? Built more houses, okay? And so that's how the first human colonies happened on the earth. And also because these are heavenly beings. They have a lot of blessings. So because they settle on our earth, okay, all of a sudden, without doing any farming, they have so many crops that grew by themselves, ripen, okay, and you have excellent sushi rice. So good that the Koreans colony had to invent the sushi rice cooker. You know, it's the best rice cooker is Korean. Not Japanese, it's Korean. See, look at the Koreans, they agree with me. So anyway, so at first, because these heavenly beings, blessings, they cannot fly anymore back to the heavens. They settle here, and they didn't have to do anything, but the crops grew, the fruits, trees happened, and so forth. And over time, as they ate these crops, their blessings became sparse. So they had to learn how to do farming. Isn't that interesting? That's our evolution, by the way. When your blessings run out, it's just like your children. After you leave them all the money you're making, the fortune you're accumulating your entire life, and they spend it, and they realize no more money. That's when they learn how to make more money. That's the same thing that happened to our ancestors. They didn't know how to farm. They didn't know how to take care of themselves. But eventually, the blessings run out. They learn how to do it very, very quickly. And again, word of wisdom, do not be overprotective to your children. See that? They need to develop the need and the necessity to fend for themselves. You cannot protect them forever. Okay? Anyway, so that's what happened to that was the first colonies, that were our ancestors. They're not born like the Vietnamese believe that they are born from the dragons. It's not true. They are actually descendants from the heavenly beings. So that's why I'm telling you, the Vietnamese have that knowledge. They believe that the Vietnamese race are con rồng cháu. What is the Vietnamese saying again? Could you help?
Master, con rồng cháu tiên.
Con rồng cháu tiên. So it says the Vietnamese are children of the dragons and the niece and nephews of the heavenly beings. It's not quite like that, okay? Actually, the Vietnamese race is actually heavenly beings, descendants. More so, that's the original settlers. Yeah. And then the Vietnamese made too many babies, so we send them to Korea, send them to Japan, Europe and so forth. So, we can handle you guys, hey, go colonize. Okay, so that's what happened. Now, do you remember Hamin? That's our history. So anyway, so these heavy beings then settle on our earth, on our Jambudvipa continent, and they multiply like crazy, and so that's why the first Dhyana heaven king, he saw all that. He says, "What happened to all my children, my residents? Now they're stuck down here." So what happened is that the first Dhyana heaven king is always attached to us. He sees us as his descendants, his children. That's his attachment. So that's why when the Buddha decided not to teach human beings, the first Dhyana heaven king, he says, "How can this be? I need to help my children, my descendants," and therefore he requested the Buddha to speak Dharma with the second desire heaven, Lord Chakra, the God of the Christian heaven. So he said, hey, come, we need to request the Dharma. I need to have the Buddha speak the Dharma to help our children. So that's why, by the way, the first Dhyana heaven king and the Christian God, okay, they're both very, very protective of us. They're very attached to us, okay, for that reason. Yes, Ford, did you have a question or comment?
Thank you, Master. I think you answered it, but you said that the first Dhyana king, who the heavenly beings were originally tourists from his land and then came to the Saha world, he is different than the Jade Emperor, who is the Christian god, who is the second king of the second Dhyana heaven?
In the desire realm. First Dhyana heaven is in the form realm. We're in desire realm. So that is to tell you there's a hierarchy, meaning that the Christian God reports to the first Dhyana heaven king, by the way. He has a boss too.
So the person who requested the Dharma, the first person to request the Dharma from the Buddha,
were lay people. There were no Sanghas back then.
What you're saying is the first Dhyana king, the Jade Emperor's boss.
Yeah, those are lay people. There's no monks and nuns yet. So that's why my point here is lay people can definitely do Dharma requests. It's not only reserved for the Sanghas. Okay? Yes.
So then, I haven't read the sutra that this is all mentioned in, so I really appreciate, Master, your explanation. Was there any mention of these heavenly beings being sad, like they couldn't go back home, or were they happy to be here?
Yeah, well, they missed their wives terribly. They missed their children terribly. Okay, they thought they would sneak out for for chocolate. And then, lo and behold, they didn't tell their wives, didn't tell their children. And so they went missing. They were, they got stuck down here. Okay, or some of them were younger, So the God beings, the heavenly beings, children, they got down here, they got some free chocolate, and then they couldn't fly back, so they went missing. Okay? So the children went missing. That's when they started, the kidnapping department up in heavens. Anyone else? How can I share with you my wisdom? You can only hear all these words of wisdom here. It's original. Yes, 5.
So, Master, I have an additional question about our world, Saha world. So
Yes.
you said it will born like appear and then grow and it disappear.
Yes.
And during that time, the Shakyamuni Buddha came and tried to teach us, right?
Right.
In our time.
He'll keep on coming repeatedly.
So he's coming back repeatedly every time.
Yes, he came, he will keep on coming because he's waiting for the chance to teach us. Okay? And Maitreya, who's coming, is actually a fill-in, like substitute teachers. You heard of those? Huh? Rushu, you heard of substitute teachers, right? In Korea, see? That's what Maitreya, who really is, a substitute teacher. So that Shakyamuni Buddha says, I'm a little bit busy, would you mind filling in for me a little bit? And so Maitreya says, you are so lazy, aren't you? So Maitreya says, okay, I'll do it for one night, one day, that's it. Now you understand what's going on between the two Buddhas. So Maitreya said, I do it for you, but one day, one night only. Yeah, that's why it happened. Okay. Yeah. So where were we again? Okay, so so what we learn here is the same thing that we taught everywhere. Okay. Number 4, method. Okay, method. Sutras actually details the method you could use in order to develop samadhi, in order to become enlightened. However, it's not something you can decipher yourself. Okay, the sutras actually are heavily referenced by the patriarchs in order to make sure that they are teaching us whatever they come up with to train us, to teach us, is consistent with the Buddha's methodology, if you will. So therein lies another aspect of the patriarchs' work, is that because we cannot interpret all this methodology that the Buddha outlined in his sutras, the patriarchs then say, okay, then because you don't get it, you have so many attachments, therefore I will devise some expedient methodology. But whatever they teach us is consistent with the Buddha's methodology. That's a patriarch's job. So far, so good? Okay. So it's all based on the Buddha's original method of practice that he taught in his sutras. Is that clear? So that's why someone asked earlier, what do I need to do about this samadhi thing here? These Buddhist sutras, there's some sutras will detail you how to develop samadhis. For example, the Hinayana people reference the major sutra that often references Satipana. Okay? That's the sutra that explains mindfulness and breathing and so forth. For the Hinayana, it's a Bible for them. Okay. But in Mahayana we have a few sutras, but the main one that for us is Shrangma Sutra. But at the times of Bodhidharma, when he first brought Chan from India to China, he used to teach his students the Lankavatara Sutra, okay, which also details also another sort of important document for Chan for us, okay, but it's not as detailed, it's not as advanced as the Shrangama Sutra, if you will. Okay? All right. Next, number 4. This sutra also has more meanings. It's a bubbling spring, meaning that when you really have wisdom, you look at one principles of the sutra that's being explained by the Buddha. If you really have wisdom, actually that principle there actually multiplies. Okay, it becomes endless, and that's the nature of wisdom. Okay, so this is the beauty about the Buddhist teaching. The Buddha says, he says one thing, one principle, but actually people at different levels understand differently. So that's why there are many ways to interpret the Buddhist teaching. And so it's like a bubbly spring where the principles flow forth effortlessly, endlessly, if you will. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, so that's why the old monk who is now the abbot in Dharma Treasury, he gets excited. He says, "Oh my God, I understand one more thing. I understand this Prajna Sutra, this Prajna teaching more, this sutra. Now I understand what it meant now." So you see, the same teaching, but now he understands more. You see that? And that's the function of the meaning of bubbly spring. It keeps on, it keeps on flowing out, and it's fun. Like when you look at all the gas, it goes up, the bubbles up in the champagne glass. You guys don't drink champagne, clearly. They say, Jim is a champagne? Sounds familiar. Mary Jo, be nice. I heard that some fancy hotels, they have the brunch, they serve champagne. Am I correct? I've lost touch. But at the nicer hotels, they do serve. Yeah. Anyway, life used to be so good. Okay, it's a bubbly spring. Number 6, bringing forth. Okay, bringing forth here refers to not principles, the way that Master YongHua and the Indians would like us to understand. Bringing forth here is not about the sutras. Bringing forth here, okay, I would differ from all the ways being explained before. Bringing forth here refers to your wisdom that's being brought out because of these sutra principles. Miracles happens inside your brains. You have the kind of understanding that occurs in your brains. And because of this sutra has the ability to make it happen. The power of the sutra is to be able, why does it, this bringing forth, why does it give birth to this new understanding, this new revelation? Why? I don't know why the Indians and the Chinese didn't explain it to you that way. I've been reading this, bringing forth all principle and so forth. I've been reading this for 25 years now. It's not until tonight I decided, no, that's a boring way to explain it to you. It's too Chinese, too Indian. Bringing forth here is bringing forth the wisdom out of you, the understanding out of you. How? Anyone? Wow, we have a lot of people in Korea. Wow, I'm impressed. The Koreans seek wisdom, don't they? Interesting. People I know don't care at all, but Avatamsaka Sutra, they come and say, oh, I want to be the highest level of wisdom there is. Even, San Diego people. Yeah. Yes, 4. Why? How is it possible?
Thank you, Master. Yesterday you were talking about how what it's like to be around people who are doing high processing, high intellectual, cognitive activities with their brain.
Yes.
And to me, it's like being around a term that called the fog of war, like this fog. Mm-hmm. And I believe what the sutra does, much like a good knowing advisor, but different, is it can navigate that fog and kind of burn it off and expose your or bring forth your internal Buddha nature.
Very good. Anyone else? Anyone else? That's from America. Anyone else in the world would like to chime in? Show your superior ethnic wisdom. Huh? Mama, Cantonese wisdom. Huh? Yes, Vietnamese wisdom. 6.
Master, I think it's similar to a seed that was planted and it sprout and become a tree and it branches out. So basically your wisdom just exploded like that.
Very good. He's not making sense, but it's very good. 3.
Thank you, Master. The way it brings forth all principles is, I see the term is well rope, and it illuminates it for me because it shows the example of first you have to get rid of all the dirt, all the obstacles to seeing how empty it is below. But once you start pulling from the emptiness, you get the water that nourishes you and reveals the wisdom.
Very eloquent. Very good. 1.
Master, but I think that without the good knowledge advisor, without a person that revealing it to us, we won't be able to understand
Not true.
behind it.
Not true. There are bodhisattvas. There are well-documented cases where the bodhisattvas recited the Dharma Flower Sutra. Okay, like Chucha, Great Master Chucha, Chinese, Tian Tai School. Okay, he's the 4th patriarch of Tian Tai School. He's a scholar, and what he did is he recited the Dharma Flower Sutra, the Lotus Sutra. Okay, when he got to a certain chapter, whatever, and he entered samadhi, and his wisdom unfolded, and he understood a lot more than ever before. That's how he became so erudite, more so than before, with depth. So whatever he read before, he studied before, they all coalesced, they all merged together, if you will. And then more. It's fascinating. So merely reciting sutras had that power. Yes, from the land of Maya world. 9.
Thank you, Master. By isolating the mind from the body and all that involves in it, by isolating the mind from the body.
Mind from the body. Sounds like a Maya practice. Okay? Anyone else? The concept here is somehow it pops up, right? This understanding pops up. All this wisdom comes out just like that. Okay, it happened because of two things. This is very important. That I think that's why the Chinese and Indians, didn't explain to their own kinds, because we Vietnamese didn't teach them. Just kidding, come on. Okay. Okay. So what happened? You have two things. Number one, that the seeds have been nurtured. The seeds have been planted, right? You cannot have anything come out when there's no seeds. In Buddhism, that's not possible. You need to have the seeds planted first. So we've been doing this. We listen to these sutras here. We do lectures for you because we planted these vajra seeds for you. They're there already, okay? And what happened is for that to sprout, meaning coming out, okay? You need, number one, the seeds. Number two, nurturing it, right? So you need, somehow you need to water it, you need to have the sun, you need to have the fertilizers and so forth. Okay, and the weeding and so forth, okay? And so you have the seeds here that you yourself have been nurturing. How do you nurture those seeds? Going to the temple, requesting Dharma, practicing chant, reciting mantras, bowing, all those things are actually nurturing your seeds. That and it turns out this is not the first time for you. It's the first time for you. You will not be impressed. Okay? You have these seeds already, including, many of you. Okay? You have the seeds. And now this environment is an environment that we created to help you nurture your seeds, if you will. Because that's why people ask me, why I need to come to the temple? Because this is a better place for you to nurture your seeds, if you will. Okay? And furthermore, what also happens at places like this that we establish for you is that we speak sutras. We recite sutras. We speak sutras. We explain sutras for you. And again, boys and girls, you need to explain sutras. You see now are so important because when you explain sutras, it helps bring forth the birth or the growth or the sprouting of the seeds. So far, so good. So it's so critical that it happens because, number one, you have seeds and you're nurturing it yourself. You don't nurture it, you don't water it, you don't fertilize it, you don't weed the surface. How on earth are the seeds going to have a chance to sprout? So far, so good. So you have to do it yourself. However, you also need the proper environment. Yes? The environment is, you need protection. For example, the monk, the old monk says he used to, plant, take care of the roses, okay, the rose garden in San Luis Obispo, his university and so forth, or his client. And then the deer would come over and eat the new growth, the young leaves, and they destroy those trees. Okay, so the old monk had to, set up, the barriers and so forth, okay, traps and so forth. He recited mantras, by the way, to do that, okay. So anyway, so you need additional help, okay, to bring forth, to make it happen, okay, and also very important, that was alluded earlier as well. Is that no, I wasn't alluded, not tonight, but the sutras have a certain power now that will enable those seeds to come out. Okay? The sutras have that special magical power, and the Good No Advisor's instructions are based on the sutras' power. So that's why the patriarchs, when they explain, they give us instructions, are based on these principles of the sutras. Do you understand? The magic happened because the Good No Advisor's instructions are consistent with the power of the sutra. If they go against the power of sutra, if they're inconsistent, they don't jive with the teachings on the sutra, it's not going to happen for you. Does it make sense? So sutras are very, very powerful. They have that power. So that's why the patriarchs and the wise teachers, they use the same principles to help you grow. So sutras are the most potent form of growth aids. Is that clear? So that's what it means here. Number 6, bringing forth is the growth. You know, you have all these good things. Okay, we need to create the environment. Okay, for you to grow. So far, so good. All right. Revealing 7. Revealing. We need to reveal the principles for you because there are a lot of hidden meaning that you don't necessarily understand. What happens is at all your levels, from housewives to teachers, to nurses, to lawyers, to doctors, to seniors and so forth. Okay, you, no matter who you are, your level of samadhi is such that at your current level of samadhis, you can only understand so much. Okay? And therefore, the sutras, they reveal all these profound principles that you at your own level will be able to connect with it. Okay? So at your level, now you listen to sutras, you recite sutras, like Sunday mornings or at home, whatever. All of a sudden, your mind at this level here, that samadhi level, connects with this. Okay? Same text, you go to a high level, it connects differently, if you will. It's fascinating. It's fun. It's fascinating to see it in you. We've been trying to tell you the same thing for 10 years, but you don't get it. And then Sunday, oh yeah, that's what the Vietnamese meant. Okay? Yeah, cool? All right, so that's making clear. 8, in court. In court is the guidelines, the standards of excellence as well as a guideline. Okay? The guideline so that you will not make mistakes. Okay? Number 9, garland. Okay? Garlands is this is a concept that sutras are beautiful. They're beautiful creations from the Buddha. You know, when you make a garland, okay, like I went to Brazil a long time ago, okay, and they love to give you these flower garlands. I went to Hawaii recently as well. The Hawaiians give you, you go, when you greet visitors to Hawaii, you can buy different kinds of flower garlands, okay, the fancy flower that they string together, special flowers from Hawaii alone. They're more expensive than the cheaper flowers imported from China. You know what I mean? Okay? Yeah, depends who you are. So when you go to Hawaii, don't be surprised you say like made in China, flower garland. So serious. Okay, so the flower garlands are the beauty of the teaching. The Buddhist teaching is so beautiful. You see how it's strung together. Each principle is a flower, if you will. Huh? And they're strung so judiciously, such a genius way of stringing these beautiful principles. Okay, and they adorn the way places. When you speak sutras, the way places are adorned. Okay. Furthermore, the more you understand the sutra principles, the more your mind becomes adorned, and then you become an adorned person. You have the proper composure, the proper comportment. You smile so sweetly, that kind of thing. Isn't it wonderful? Anyone else? So beautiful. Sutras are beautiful. So this to bring the sutra, string these fire somewhere in San Francisco. Oh, please, you scare me.
Master, did you say earlier that Shakyamuni Buddha is going to come back to the Saha world, and then Maitreya Buddha is going to come back for one day?
Yes. Is there a question? Put out the fire. Please.
When's
it's
Shakyamuni
like,
Buddha
you don't understand. I see fire, I'm scared to death. You're preying on my insecurity. Have pity on this old monk. Anyway, sorry, Malcolm. Go ahead.
My question was, did you say that Shakyamuni Buddha is going to come back to the Saha world, or is it going to be in a different kalpa or something? And then it's going to be Maitreya Buddha is going to come back in a long distance future?
Yeah, what happened is in the sutras they spell out like there are 1,000 Buddhas appearing during our worthy aeon. So this timeline here, there's like 1,000 Buddhas who appear in this timeline in the Saha world. Okay, so Shakyamuni Buddha is number 4 in our worthy aeon. Number 5 will be Maitreya Bodhisattva, and so on and so on. So the Buddhist sutras made predictions already, if you will. Okay, Malcolm? So it's well documented. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So they even hinted what Maitreya plans to do, and so forth. Okay. And so, all right, okay. And so this garland here, what interests me is it's something that I'm discovering, that as your wisdom unfolds, your mind becomes more beautiful. It's your mind that becomes more beautiful. Yes, I know you look younger and you're more, more friendly and kinder, more compassionate. But what happened inside of you, your mind becomes beautiful. It's how we develop beauty in our world. How's that? So what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm finding out more and more as I teach you for all this time, 15, 16 years and so forth. I realize your mind, each one of you, your mind becomes more beautiful. It's so lovely. I see how people improve, how Mama, mind is blossoming. It's fantastic, let me tell you. So in a very, very humble way, okay, you are adorning our world. Wherever you go, your mind, okay, is adorning your workplace, adorning your homes, adorning your synagogues, adorning your churches. Hey, are you listening? You know what I mean? So it's wonderful. Think about it. Beautiful mind. Want to take refuge now? All right, any other questions? It's so beautiful. I mean, this is what I love about this. I see how your mind develops and you become, people say, oh, you look younger, you prettier, you kinder, I like you so more. But I see a beautiful person. It's so exciting. It's fantastic. Yes, 5.
And I have a comment and one more question. Yes, Master, when someone has a beautiful mind, it's contagious. And the people will feel that and they also maybe bring some changes to them.
Yeah, your children, your daughter, your son, your husband, so forth. They don't realize that they're rubbing off all this beauty in you. Wherever you are, wherever you go, you rub it off. And it's a gift. It's a gift to the world you're doing. Give an example. I'm sorry I interrupted you. This is so important. For example, some of you are practicing the Great Compassion Mantra. Yes? You recite it. Okay? It is that because you recite it, then the wind breeze blows through you, and the air through you will carry to Sarah and to Xianshun there. And in 500 more years, they will bring forth a Bodhi mind. So you spreading this beauty, It's fantastic. Oh, let me turn on my fan. And that's what we quietly give to the world. People can ask, what is your purpose in life? Okay. We give beauty. Okay. Yes, sorry. Go ahead, 5. Continue.
Another question is just a silly one, but about that 1,000 Buddhas appearing in this world, are they all substitute?
I don't know. I don't have such knowledge. I'm struggling like hell with Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching. I don't understand. Because if I tell you and so forth, then you say, well, what about their teaching? And so forth. No, I don't know. This is the truth. Some of them will be substitute teachers, for sure. But not all. Yes, 8. And here's what happens. The Buddhas from all over the other worlds get bored. They got really bored. I said, my God, I've been teaching you for aeons upon aeons. You see, you don't get it. Okay? So they said, I'm going on vacation. I need a break. So they die. They die. And they come to another world and say, oh, I like Korea much more. I like Vietnam much more, that kind of thing. And so, that's how it goes. Yes.
Master, 500 more years. Can we speed it up a little bit?
Speed up. We try, how's that? Okay, it's just this donation box right there. Okay, everyone. Oh my God, you guys are so impatient. Okay, we are on slide number 5. Another store, the first store is Sutra. Okay, that's a major body of Buddha's wisdom. Okay, another store is the Vinaya. Okay, Vinaya, I don't know how to pronounce it. I like to pronounce Vinaya for some reason. It sounds nasty, that kind of thing. Because Vinaya is tough. Sutras are beautiful, Vinaya is like different. Okay? So, Vinaya store is for taming and subduing. Okay? Taming meaning that you tame your mind. Your mind is wild, like a wild horse. It's very difficult to be tame. So the Buddha's teaching is designed to help you tame the wild horse mind, the monkey mind, if you will. Your mind is wild. Okay? Yeah. All right? And so you tame you tame the mind, and so that you can train yourself through the Vinaya to create the good karmas, if you will. Karmas of the mouth, karmas of the mind, karmas of the body. Furthermore, as far as subduing goes, subduing is to regulate your evil tendencies. Okay? Because for a very few of you, you are prone to liking doing evil. Isn't that true? Doing evil thing is kind of fun for you. The violence, the aggression, all the bad stuff. For you, some of you find it exciting. You know what I mean? I tell you a funny thing. Again, please don't take it wrong. Okay? I go to Korea. When I talk to the Koreans, when you ask them a question, they said, they asked a difficult question. He said, like, do you love your husband? You know what the Korean ladies do? They say, and I sat there, I said, please don't remind me of it. You know what I mean? Men, women, they all do that. Mr. Park, I asked him a question. He's a PhD researcher somewhere from the Korean government. He asked him a difficult question. That's too much for me personally. Of course, Xianxun does not understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so what happened is, for subduing, is that we have these, to us, doing naughty things is kind of fun. It's addictive. It is interesting to us. Being naughty, doing things we're not supposed to do. Anyone? Only the Catholics have that tendencies. And that's why they go to confession every Sunday. We Buddhists never have that problem. That's why we don't even have confessions. Especially at Wei Mountain Temple, we only need to do repentance once a month. And it's sparsely attended. All right. So it's interesting about this Vinaya thing here because it points out to you the mind, your mind is wild, okay, and needs to be subdued because you have these tendencies, this pull, this urge to do, naughty things. Yes or no? Okay? And that's the nature of a human mind. That is not simply just our minds, but also the influence we're under as well. Like when you go to a certain place, for example, like you go to a bar, and first you say, "Oh no, I'm not drinking. Give me some Perrier or something," okay? And you hang there long enough, give me a drink. See what I mean? So because you're in that environment where everyone drinks and so forth, eventually you drink. And that's the kind of influence we're under constantly, not at bars, but everywhere. That's why we need to have a means to subdue these evil tendencies, if you will. It's funny that most of you don't talk like this because you rather not face this issue, right? It's hard to tell your wife, honey, I do have evil tendencies. Now we're married, you should know the truth. Yes, for. Would you like to make a confession?
Oh, thank you, Master, for the opportunity so much. It's interesting. I was talking with Malcolm about this yesterday, and we're both fans of we were both fans of the movie Goodfellas, and the lead actor Ray Liotta just passed away. So R.I.P. Ray.
Yeah, Ray Liotta.
Yeah. And Goodfellas, for those of you who are not indoctrinated, is a very famous movie by the director Martin Scorsese, who makes very visceral gangster movies.
Yes. Violence.
Kind of core to my Sicilian culture.
You Sicilian?
Yes.
Oh, that explains so many things.
And so, growing up in kind of like a Catholic tradition, it was a very satisfying guilty pleasure to watch a movie like Goodfellas.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean. I know
you do, Master. So, but what Malcolm and I were discussing is that, now that we've taken refuge, our perception of the movie is completely different.
Hallelujah.
Now,
amen.
I would be breaking a precept and lying if I said I didn't still enjoy the movie in some capacity.
Yes.
But now I
don't break precepts.
Right. So I still enjoy the movie. My wife will tell you this.
Yeah.
But my perception has changed is that now I see what's like a Demon King behavior, whereas before I saw what I thought was just culturally acceptable for Sicilians and Italians.
Like it's just like a cultural thing or just something. You don't realize the implications of such behavior.
Because growing up on the East Coast, in the Northeast, you're supposed to be breaking the rules. If you're not breaking the rules, you're not trying. You're supposed to be drinking and carrying on and enjoying life, and these things are celebrated and glorified. Mm-hmm. It's just part of what it is. And until I took refuge, and Malcolm was, I'll let him speak to it. But our perceptions change, and that's a big difference. Thank you, Master.
Yeah, you're welcome. Malcolm, what do you have to say for yourself? You're gonna let Peter speak for you? All of it?
Master, where I was coming from was I used to relate to the film because I had anger issues, and it would kind of be I could relate to the anger and hostility and everything with the film, and being a gangster is a guilty pleasure, of course, right?
Yeah. But you know, it's not just the violence and all those things. It's just like, I tell you, the one thing is like the tendency to lie, to manipulate people. Anyone? You are so pure. Hallelujah. You are so beautiful. You know, but the tendency to lie and to manipulate people for whatever the reasons, it's just innate. I mean, it seems so natural. You know what I mean? Koreans, the Koreans are, they all kept such a straight face. None of them moved, you know that? This is not a comfortable topic for them. Okay, so there is a need to learn to subdue those things, those evil tendencies, which can be overwhelming sometimes. Yes, we're not just talking about the bad tendency, but they are overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And therefore, we need some mechanism, some tools, some knowledge on how to subdue those tendencies. It's so important. You know, the Catholics, they only talk confession. They say, okay, it's 10 Ave Marias and 10, you know, whatever. And they say, you clean again. But they never learn how to subdue them. We need to, you know, develop the skill to subdue them. Okay? Is that clear? So when the Buddha talked about taming, he says, I want to teach you how to tame your mind. And he talked about subduing, I will train you how to subdue your evil tendencies as well. Okay? When we talk about a problem, it's because we have a solution for you. It's very important to stress, is that we're not doomsday sayers. We're not saying things. We don't try to tell you things that you can't do anything about. Okay, that would only make it worse. Your depression worse. Okay. Yes, Mr. Catholic.
I actually disagree with you that the Catholics don't have tools to suppress evil tendencies. We do. But my question would be more like, for Buddhists, other than sitting meditation and sutras, what other tools do Buddhists have to suppress evil tendencies?
What, all the tools? You saw at lunchtime. What do we do to control our evil tendencies? I give them food. And I say, here, would you like some potato chips? I say, oh yeah. How about some popcorn? Oh yeah. What about some chocolate that tasted like truffle chocolate? Oh yeah. So, what we do is not about method, it's not about specific things, but it's about pointing out. In Buddhism, we bring it out and say, you have this evil tendency, okay? Look at what it does to you. It's a rather interesting way of subduing and taming, because instead of hiding, is it clear? Okay? For worldly people, they say, oh, you know, I'd rather not talk about it. For us, we bring it out and say, hey, some food here. Eat more, okay? And so we confront the problems. That's our primary form of taming and subduing. If you deny it, you sweep it under the rug, it's still there. Forever. So this requires this process here, requires you to see what you don't want, and you say, this facial hair here, with the tweezers. Oh, you're not a girl. You don't know what I'm talking about. The girl is in the morning, just for you. That's what Apple doesn't tell you, in the morning. That's why her eyebrows are perfect every day. Did you know that? But you look closely, they're actually the pores. Poor Apple. Now you know why Apple doesn't dare come here. You sure you want to fall in love with such a person? If you record it, hey Jim, if you record it, Apple. Okay, sorry, Koreans. We are not very, I'm in a goofy mood tonight. So I present a lot of information in a goofy way. No wonder the Koreans say, oh, I'm not coming back. I mean, this is so unadorned way of explaining this profound wisdom here. Any questions or comments from Korea? Yeah, and they're just looking at each other. You go first, you go. Okay, time is up. Thank you, everyone. Next time we continue from number 6.